Hi, welcome to my farm. This ground keeps teaching the same lesson. 1 acre can grow a shocking amount of food or swallow a year of work and still leave you buying dinner. Today, I am sharing the exact 1 acre plan I would use to feed a family of 5 for a full year. The zones, the math, and the calendar. By the end, you will have the full 1 acre plan, where every square foot goes, how much water and work it needs, and what must be stored for winter. Watch until the end, because each part supports the next. Miss the water, storage, or labor math and the acre fails. Start with this number, 43,560 square feet. Only 18,000 of them are annual crop ground in this example. The rest keeps that harvest alive. The difference is not a secret seed, a miracle compost recipe, or a perfect raised bed. It is whether you design the acre as a food system before you plant it. Most failed plans start with a crop list. They fill every sunny patch, run out of water in July, discover that harvest arrives all at once, and learn too late that a pile of fresh vegetables is not the same thing as a year of meals. So this is the practical version. We are going to build 1 example acre on the board, zone by zone. Then we will pressure test it against water, time, soil, storage, calories, protein, and winter. The numbers are planning numbers, not promises. Your climate and diet will change them, but the sequence works almost anywhere. 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. In this example, the first zone is 12,000 square feet of calorie-focused annual crops, potatoes, dry beans, winter squash, and whatever dependable staple suits your climate. The second zone is 6,000 square feet of succession vegetables, greens, roots, tomatoes, onions, brassicas, and fresh crops that keep the kitchen supplied instead of arriving in one avalanche. The third zone is 10,000 square feet of perennials, fruit trees, berries, perennial herbs, and pollinator habitat. The fourth zone is 5,000 square feet for fertility and modest protein, compost, cover crops, a small chicken run where legal, and room to move materials without trampling the garden. The final 10,560 square feet carries the system: greenhouse or nursery space, tanks and irrigation, storage, wash station, paths, turning room, buffers, windbreaks, and any home or existing structures. That split is not a command, it is a decision map. If your land is already occupied by a house and driveway, Zone 5 expands and the crop zones shrink. If water is scarce, the irrigated annual core shrinks first. If you eat mostly vegetables and buy grains, Zone 2 grows. If you want most calories from the land, Zone 1 grows and your workload rises with it. The board has 5 tests. Can the acre supply enough useful food, not just impressive harvest photos? Can you water the active crop area in the driest week? Can the soil replace what each harvest removes? Can 1 or 2 people plant, weed, harvest, and preserve it on time? And can the food cross the gap between harvest day and the next growing season? If any answer is no, reduce the plan before buying more seed. A smaller system that is weeded, watered, harvested, and stored beats a full acre that collapses in August. Here is the outcome we are aiming for: a measured annual food plan, a staged build order, a weekly water budget, a crop rotation, a preservation capacity, and a clear list of what you will still buy. That last list matters. Cooking oil, salt, grain, animal feed, coffee, and spices are often cheaper and more sensible to buy than force onto 1 acre. Self-reliance gets stronger when it stops pretending. Do not begin with beds. Begin with observation. Walk the acre in the morning, at midday, and late afternoon. Mark where the sun actually lands. A phone app can estimate sun angles, but your eyes still need to find the shadow from the house, the tree line, and the winter sun. Productive annual vegetables usually need the best light. Berries, herbs, compost, sheds, and access can tolerate the less perfect edges. Next, find the water. Not the tap on a plan. The real source: pressure, flow, storage, and root. Time how long it takes to fill a known container. Trace the elevation from source to the highest bed. Look for places where a hose crosses a road, a gate, or a mower path. A water system that is annoying to operate will be ignored at exactly the wrong time. Then study the slope after rain. Mark puddles, erosion lines, soggy corners, and the direction water leaves the property. Do not put a permanent orchard in a frost pocket or an intensive bed where runoff cuts through every storm. Do not assume a green patch is fertile. It may simply stay wet. Keep permanent structures away from drainage routes and confirm local setback rules before digging or building. Now test the soil. Take representative samples from the actual growing zones, not one scoop beside the driveway. Ask for pH and the nutrient guidance relevant to your region. Oregon State Extension's core advice is simple. Measure the real area and use a soil test. That prevents the classic mistake of spreading one generic fertilizer rate across ground with different needs. Use a jar and your hands for a field check too. Sandy soil drains quickly and demands more frequent irrigation. Heavy clay stores water but can suffocate roots if worked wet. Loam is not magic. It still compacts under traffic. That is why permanent paths matter. A 4-foot bed is common because you can reach the center without stepping on it. The exact width can change. The rule cannot. Feet stay off the growing soil. List every hard constraint on one page. Best sun, weak sun, dry zone, wet zone, water source, power, vehicle access, deer pressure, prevailing wind, frost pockets, neighbor boundary, septic field, buried utility, local livestock rules, and storage location. These constraints are not bad news. They are the rails that keep the plan real. Finally, choose the first-year footprint. If this is your first serious garden, do not open all 18,000 square feet of annual production at once. Start with the area you can water and weed every week. Keep the rest in cover crop or mulch. Expand only after the first area has a reliable harvest and a storage destination. The annual beds do two different jobs. One group supplies, calories, and storage. The other supplies, variety, flavor, and fresh harvests. Mixing those jobs without measuring either one creates a beautiful garden that may not carry a household through winter. Start with the foods you already eat. Pull 12 months of receipts or write down 2 normal weeks of meals. Count potatoes, onions, beans, tomatoes, greens, squash, carrots, cabbage, and preserved foods. Do not plan from a seed catalog fantasy. Plan from the kitchen. Then build a crop sheet with 6 columns. Crop, amount eaten, planting window, days to maturity, expected harvest window, and storage method. Use your local extension planting guide for row spacing and timing. Utah State's example chart shows why local planning matters. Potatoes, dry beans, winter squash, sweet corn, and tomatoes occupy very different row lengths and mature on different schedules. The table is a starting reference, not a yield guarantee. Put dependable storage crops at the center. Potatoes turn modest space into useful meals. Dry beans store without a freezer. Winter squash can sit for months when properly cured. Onions and garlic make stored food usable every day. Choose varieties proven in your climate, and keep enough diversity that one disease or weather event cannot erase the whole staple plan. Now add succession. A single planting of lettuce gives you too much lettuce, then none. So a smaller amount, wait 1 or 2 weeks, and sow again while the season allows. University of Minnesota Extension notes that some vegetables can be planted twice in one season. Your local frost dates decide how far you can push it. The objective is a harvest rhythm, not maximum seed in the ground. Divide the annual area into at least 4 rotation blocks. Rotate by plant family, not by the name printed on the packet. Tomatoes and potatoes are both nightshades. Squash and cucumbers share a family. Beans and peas share a family. University of Minnesota Extension points out that family rotation helps interrupt disease pressure and changes nutrient demand. A simple 4-block map is enough to begin. Save each year's map. Memory is not a crop record. Leave access from the beginning. Main paths need to carry a loaded wheelbarrow. Bed paths need to stay usable after rain. Put the wash and pack area between the garden and storage, not on the far side of the property. Place frequently harvested crops close to that route. Put sprawling storage crops farther out where daily access matters less. Finally, measure performance. Weigh representative harvests. Record the bed area and labor. University of Minnesota's field planning tools use bedfoot yields and harvest frequency because real planning needs more than seed counts. At the end of the season, keep the crops that earned their space. Reduce the ones that demanded constant rescue or produced food your household did not eat. The seed packet is cheap. Water and fertility decide whether the crop finishes. University of Minnesota Extension gives a useful conversion. 1 inch of water over 100 square feet is about 62 gallons. Apply that to the 18,000 square feet in our 2 annual zones, and a dry week represents roughly 11,160 gallons. That does not mean you automatically pump that volume every week. Rain, mulch, crop stage, shaded soil, and the actual planted footprint change the demand. It means the phrase, 1 inch a week, becomes serious when the garden becomes serious. Measure rainfall with a gauge. Subtract it from the weekly target. Split the garden into irrigation zones so a leak or pressure problem does not disable the entire acre. Put a filter and pressure regulator where your drip system requires them. Check emitter output at the far end, not only beside the source. Penn State Extension's drip guidance makes the key point. Run time comes from flow rate and bed width. Guessing by minutes is not a water plan. Drip irrigation reduces wasted application. It does not cancel the plant's need for water. Mulch reduces evaporation and protects soil. It does not refill a dry tank. The Honest system has enough source capacity, storage where needed, delivery flow, and weekly operating time for the peak growing period. Build the irrigation before planting the full area. Pressure test it. Flush the lines. Keep spare couplers, end caps, repair tape, and emitters at the field edge. A tiny split in July can ruin a bed before the replacement part arrives. Fertility follows the same accounting rule. Every basket leaving the land carries nutrients away. Compost returns organic matter and some nutrients, but compost is not a magic unlimited fertilizer. Feed the pile deliberately. Mix moist green material with dry carbon-rich material, keep air in the structure, and protect it from becoming a waterlogged heap. Use clean plant residues, bedding, leaves, and locally safe materials. Keep diseased plants and persistent weed seed out unless your system reliably reaches the conditions needed to handle them. Plant cover crops on ground you are not using. Bare soil is unfinished work. A cover protects the surface, feeds soil biology, captures nutrients, and can add organic matter. Match the species and termination method to your climate and next crop. If you cannot terminate it on time, it becomes competition. Watch for 3 fertility warnings: pale growth across an entire bed, declining yield despite normal weather, and soil that seals or crusts after rain. Do not answer every symptom with more fertilizer. Check water, roots, compaction, pH, pests, and disease first. Then use a current soil test to decide what to add. The acreage limit is the smallest of 4 capacities: water, fertile growing area, labor, and storage. If your water supports 6,000 square feet, you do not have an 18,000 square foot annual garden yet. You have 6,000 square feet and a future expansion plan. Perennials make the acre stronger, but they do not rescue a weak first year. Plant the orchard and berry zone early because it takes time to mature. At the same time, expect annual beds to carry the kitchen while the trees establish. Space fruit trees for their mature canopy, rootstock, disease airflow, equipment access, and the light needs of anything planted beneath. A crowded young orchard looks efficient. A crowded mature orchard becomes a pruning and disease problem. Use layers carefully. Trees, berry shrubs, perennial herbs, ground covers, and vines can share space, but only when water and light remain adequate. Keep a clear service path to every tree. Protect trunks from tools and animals. Label varieties on a durable field map rather than trusting a plastic tag to survive 10 years. Choose perennials for usefulness, not novelty. Plant fruit you preserve and eat. Include varieties with compatible pollination where needed. Spread harvest windows so everything does not ripen during the same week. Give the wash station, cool storage, dehydrator, freezer, or canning schedule enough capacity to handle the peak. For protein, 1 acre rewards modest systems. Where local rules allow, a small flock of hens can convert purchased feed, garden trimmings, and insects into eggs while contributing bedding to the compost stream. But the feed is still an input. Do not call eggs land independent if bags of grain arrive every month. Record that cost and store feed safely from moisture and rodents. Before adding animals, answer 6 questions. Is it legal? Is there predator protection? Is there clean water every day? Where does feed come from? Where does manure and bedding go? Who provides care when you leave? If one answer is vague, build the garden first. The same discipline applies to rabbits, bees, ducks, fish, or goats. Each can fit some 1-acre systems. None is a free protein machine. Housing, feed, health, breeding, slaughter rules, noise, and daily labor change the calculation. Start with the animal system that closes a real loop and that you can manage well. Keep pollinator and windbreak habitat useful but controlled. A hedge can slow wind, support beneficial insects, and define a boundary. It can also shade beds and send roots into irrigation zones. Put tall, permanent plants where their mature shadow belongs. The perennial test is simple. Does this planting make the system easier, more productive, or more resilient after establishment? If it creates 10 years of pruning around a crop nobody eats, it is landscaping, not food security. Do not build the final acre in one spring. Commission it in layers. First, prove the water, drainage, fence, main paths, compost site, nursery, and 1 irrigation zone. Then open the smallest annual block that can supply consistent harvests. Add storage crops only when storage is ready. Plant the perennial backbone early, but expand annual production only after the first block is under control. Budget by function. Water delivery comes before decorative bed edges. Deer protection comes before rare fruit trees. Washable harvest space and ventilated crates come before doubling the potato patch. The labor danger is collision, not the average week. Tomatoes, beans, fruit, and potatoes can all demand attention while irrigation fails and the kitchen is full. Spread planting dates and harvest windows. Keep a preservation queue. Harvest the crop with the shortest safe window first. Walk 1 weekly route. Irrigation ends, leaf undersides, soil moisture, fence, animal water, compost, and storage. Keep spare fittings and row cover repair beside the field. At season's end, score each zone on food eaten, hours, water, cost, and loss. Expand only what earned the space. A year of food is what remains edible until the next harvest. Assign every storage crop a destination before planting it. Potatoes need cool, dark, ventilated conditions. Onions and garlic need curing and airflow. Squash needs sound, skin, and inspection. Beans must be fully dry. Remove spoiled produce before 1 loss spreads through a crate. Preservation is not a place to improvise. The National Center for Home Food Preservation states that low-acid foods require pressure canning and research-tested processes. Recipe acidity, jar size, altitude, packing method, and time matter. If you cannot verify the process, choose a safer tested method. Use hard thresholds. If weeds set seed, stop expanding. If verified water cannot meet the planted footprint, reduce it. If the kitchen cannot process harvest inside its safe window, plant less next round. If storage loss rises, fix storage before growing more. And protect the operator. Shade, safe lifting roots, hydration, and rest belong in the system. Commission the acre with 4 tests. Run every irrigation zone through a dry week and confirm flow at the far end. Carry a full crate from the farthest bed through washing to storage. Remove 1 water branch or 1 worker and decide what gets protected first. Then count winter meals, not harvest photographs. The final checklist is short. Planted area matches water, paths prevent compaction. Rotation and succession are mapped. Trees have mature spacing. Compost has clean inputs. Animals are legal and honestly fed. Every storage crop has a tested destination. Spare irrigation parts are on site. And 1 record captures harvest, labor, water, cost, and loss. Success is not claiming total independence. It is producing more useful food each season without consuming the people who operate the acre. Grow the first zone well. Measure it, preserve it, eat it, fix it, then expand. That is how 1 acre becomes a year of food, a chain that stays intact from soil to seed, from water to harvest, and from harvest to the next meal.